that's Salman, Shreya and Kamru. I would like to thank Asante Africa Foundation for giving us the opportunity to work on this challenge they're facing. So I'll go through the brief description of the foundation and the challenges that they are facing. So Asante Africa Foundation is an NGO working to motivate the East African youth to succeed professionally. They have different programs to do that. One is through the leadership and entrepreneurship incubator program. The main features of which are they focus on youth development, and they have the cross-border collaboration to provide their students with an advantage. And they also believe in training their teachers with certifications so that the value always keeps on adding. So the problem that they are facing in this, the challenge that they are facing is staying in touch with their alumni. So why does this happen that they are not able to stay in touch is because alumni move to different cities, or after they graduate, they move away, due to which they are not able to stay in touch, and their main goal of giving back to the society is not being met. So the points where we lose contact is when once they graduate, they lose contact, and the reasons is there's not enough, the data is expensive in Africa, and it's expensive in Africa, and not a lot of people have the smartphones. So the reasons, like the ways to stay in touch and the incentives, they lack incentives to stay in touch with the program. So these will be taken care, like my team will explain how to stay in touch and what incentives will, the incentives provide, like what are the incentives we can provide them to stay in touch with the organization. Thank you.
So I just want to take you through the analysis behind our strategy. So we divided the alumni into three categories. Ones are the ones who move away for higher education. The second ones are the job-seeking graduates, and the third are the entrepreneurs. So we feel that this demographic is constantly changing and engaging with each other, and the interaction is where we can gain from. So the ones who move away from higher education, what they are looking for is probably assistance with their education, mental health support, and eventually they are the ones who are going to be seeking jobs. So they are going to move on to the next cycle, which is the job-seeking graduates. Some of the LEI alumni are already looking for jobs. And since employment is one of the major factors for LEI, we feel that the entrepreneurs come into the picture there, because the small businesses have opportunities where they can hire from their own cohort who have the same kind of trade. For the entrepreneurs, I think the main part is help with business planning. In the survey, we observed that some of the teams are not so confident about financial planning. So some aspects of the business where they need help, and we feel that they can collaborate with each other and get help for that. So basically, this is how we wanted to understand the initiative that Asante could take and have a complete collaboration. And we put Asante in the middle of it because they are the bridging gap between all of them. So our strategy is three parts. One is increasing engagement with the alumni. The second one is increasing the entrepreneurship. And the third is increasing the community impact. So I'll talk a little bit about increasing engagement with the alumni. So I would like to talk about pooling resources, the business and education consulting, the job search engine, and the marketplace. So what we mean by pooling resources is there are certain skills that not all groups have, where they can come in and help each other, and that's where we would like to encourage that collaboration. With the business and education consultants, we don't want the collaboration between LEI and the teams to stop after 3 years. We want them to keep learning and keep developing. And for the job search engines, it's about the employment factor. And finally, the marketplace is for the businesses to have an opportunity to grow their business and contact more vendors. So we suggest opening up a platform called the LEI Alumni Services Office, which would be a complete platform for the alumni to connect on. And those are the 4 areas where we would like to focus on that website. Basically, the alumni, old and new, would sign up for this website. They would list down their key skills. They would list down probably what they need help with. And there would also be different webinars or lectures that the LEI professors or even the teams could volunteer for. So in pooling resources, of course, like I mentioned, they would be collaborating and helping each other out. For the business and education consulting, again, we would have the LEI professors and and the alumni again, where we could have different lectures. And for the job search engine, it's as simple as LinkedIn. You put in your, the small businesses would put in the opportunities they have, and the job-seeking graduates would go and apply for these opportunities. And finally, the marketplace would be where we could connect possible vendors and the small businesses. So this is a complete engagement platform that we would like to focus on. I'll pass it on to Kamru.
Thank you, Shreya. Now, in rural areas, we need more business. Here we can see that in Ashanti, only 20 graduates have started their business. So we feel that the business potential is actually, there is business potential, but something is restricting these business potentials. So we want to give some protections for the entrepreneurs, like first of all, we need to create a market for their products. And how we can do this? Actually, we will create a platform where the individual entrepreneurs will showcase their products, and Ashanti will try to mobilize the demands of their products, so that any person, maybe the other places in the city area or in the crafts can go also to other international market. So this marketplace will create demand for their products, and entrepreneurs actually they will engage more for their business. And another thing actually we need to reduce the risk. And how to reduce the risk? Actually, we need some insurance. Insurance for the health insurance for the graduates and for the business actually in different types of risk they are facing, maybe weather, crop risk and the poultry risk, this kind of risk. If we can eliminate those kind of risks, lots of entrepreneurs will be coming and they will start their business, and employmentship will generate, and so every graduates will be successful. So we need the successful graduates to grow, and for that we need this insurance and the marketplace for their product. Thank you. Now I'm passing on Salman.
So I'd like to thank the judges for having us here again, and Tanya for taking the time. So I'm going to talk about increased community impact. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, so if you see all of these points, they don't actually cater to one exact strategy you have. All of these are built in so that they can support multiple strategies to be highly efficient. So the two that are extremely important for the community impact would be corporate social responsibility and the buddy community. Now, what is a corporate social responsibility here? Now, as managers, we're taught that everything we do always have to ask ourselves, how can we do good, right? This has to be incorporated in the program itself because change has to be internal first. That is how we will build a corporate social responsibility within our graduates that can make greater change in the community. Next is the buddy community. Now, this probably seems a little confusing, so I'm going to go ahead and give you some references. There's a program in Kenya, Nairobi, which is called No Means No. They have managed to reduce the rape and sexual abuse by 50% in 2 years. What they do is they couple up their students with other women as well as men, and strength in numbers is greater than anything you will ever find. We want to build that same buddy community within LEI graduates. So when they go out there in a community, they're together. How does it benefit us? If you look at microfinancing, they don't actually finance each person, they finance groups. So if one person doesn't meet the categories, others can pull him up. That is what our buddy community will do. The graduates will work together, they can share their resources, and for us, it helps us communicate with the entire group by communicating with one person. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so measuring long-term effectiveness. We do not do something that we cannot quantify, we do not do something that we cannot improve. So let's talk about how are we going to measure our engagement. First, website data. It's pretty basic. Google gives you all the analytics you need. You'll see how many people are coming in, how is your marketplace working, everything else. Activity on WhatsApp and Facebook. We know that although 50% of the people have smartphones, only 20% of them are active on WhatsApp. What's that about? So our target is to change that. Overall impact, CSR activity report. Whatever entrepreneurs are working on, they can submit a sort of report of what kind of activities are helping their community. It could be by hiring locals, it could be by donating their waste materials, etc., etc. Increase direct and indirect impact. This is already measured by LEI and it's very thorough. But we want to use that and measure it over the years to see how we are making impact with our strategies. Employment. We noticed that for above 18, there's a 3-year gap in their employment. We want to reduce that. Increase number of entrepreneurs. Right now, there are only 26 entrepreneurs out of 500 direct students, I'm assuming 200-300 graduates, but then 26 entrepreneurs. That is actually a very low number. We want that to increase because entrepreneurship is the way that you improve your job market. You create jobs, you create income, increase job satisfaction. Now some people might laugh at this, but it's not a laughing matter. If you're not happy at your job, you're not going to stay there for long. And we believe that with the training that they have, they can go for the jobs that they're passionate about. And that's what we want them to do. Next slide. Okay, so this is our timeline. In 2019, we want to update our curriculum. We want to start building that change within our students, our graduates. By 2020, we will make preliminary comparisons of how our change is impacting what is already being done. Are we actually having an impact? Can we change the strategy a little bit? And then 2021 is when we actually measure our effectiveness. And by 2022, the new graduates are already in the market. That's when we get the real feedback from them, and we can actually assess what kind of an impact we're having on the community. With that, I would like to thank everyone for being here, and something.
So first, I was still asking, Tanya, you have questions?
I do, thank you. Very, very thought-provoking presentation, strong analysis. I have 3 questions. Can you go to the implementation slide? Back. Okay, yeah, this is good for now. The first point about the LEI Alumni Services Office, you talked about that as establishing this as a platform. What do you mean exactly by creating a platform? Is the proposal here to engage a tech company to build a new platform, or is this different elements of existing online tools that you think we could harness? So what's the pragmatics around this platform specifically? Second question is related to, again, the same point. The second sub-point is business and education consultations. So this is interesting because we've contemplated mentoring and how do you help somebody, how do you give the supports to somebody who has a fantastic idea for their own entrepreneurial endeavor, but they don't know how to get there. So this is an interesting point, but I'm curious as to who you would suggest provides those business and education consultations. So would we go out to the business community and try to find people willing to volunteer as consultants on this? Or are you suggesting this would be the alumni themselves doing it? So who would be conducting that second element of the liaison point? And then my final question is about sequencing. So if you go back one slide. Yeah, there's 8 points here, which seems like a lot of different elements for a staff that is already extremely busy. What would be the sequencing? So I guess this is asking you to break down your timeline a little more, in which pieces you would recommend would come first in your recommendation, how they would be sequenced.
Thank you, Tanya. So the thing is, can you go to the slide first? Next. Okay, this one, yeah. So for the liaison, if you're talking about, what we want is a separate department taking care of these things. Now, if I'm not wrong, your first question was about the marketplace, am I right?
What do you mean by a platform? Creating a new software standalone platform, or what? Just elaborate on what you mean by the LEI Alumni Services Office.
Okay. What we want is what we're going to do is build a website, a sort of like e-commerce website where your entrepreneurs who are already selling their goods, products, they come in as the vendors, while Asante initially does the marketing online, right? And if you're talking about the business and education consultants, it's, I'm sure you've already completed, as you said. The idea here is to, like for example, the financial management program, right? We saw a major dilemma there that most of the graduates do not feel comfortable creating a financial statement, financial modeling, right? So that means they need further training. I see that you guys already partnered with Khan Academy and other, obviously some education Maybe they can provide some consultations as to how you manage these, how to create a business plan, how to pitch, what is a pitch deck, etc., etc. Does that answer your second question?
Yes.
Okay, and should it be created internally or externally? You can create it internally. That is the idea here in the long run. But in the short run, if you want to go into the program right now, you're going to outsource it. And then the improvements will have to come internally, slowly with the students. That is what we hope for. That is what it should be. But initially, for the short run, you will have to outsource this platform.
Okay.
And the sequence.
Oh, and the sequence. Can we go back to the tools? Okay, so I already said this, but the thing is that you want all of these options are to meet at least one or two goals, not just one. So in order, for example, like pool resources, marketplace, job search engine, business and education consultations, these will go together in the liaison, right? The purpose to responsibility and the buddy committee that has to start immediately from 2019 if possible, from tomorrow. That is something that has to be built into the current students and the future graduates. Other than that, pooling resources. This is something that will take effect in 2 to 3 years when the current crop of students are graduating. That's the same with, we talk about health and business insurance for graduates and subsidizing phone and data costs. This is something that will require more analysis and cost analysis from Asante. And based on that, based on partnerships with insurance companies as well as phone companies, this is an offer that you can make because this will increase your engagement significantly. If 30% of smartphone users are not active on the WhatsApp group, it's probably because of the high data costs. If a certain percentage of them cannot afford the phones, a subsidy will help. We know that about, what was the percentage of people with less than 10,000 income? Because the median of them is 3 to 10,000 KSH per month. So subsidizing, we did some research, we found out that the yearly cost of a phone plus data will cost around $150. If Asante can subsidize 50% of that, that would be $75 spent by the students. Obviously, this cannot be mandatory, but this will allow a greater portion of the graduates to own a smartphone and interact with Asante. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
What's the state of the insurance industry in Kenya? You said because you're advocating health and business insurance?
Yes, actually, as we find that in Kenya there are lots of insurance companies now operating. And yes, we actually, in the developing country, insurance companies generally want to insure the crops and provide health insurance to the remote places. So as a partner, Asante, actually Asante has to mediate this role with the insurance companies and with the rural people. As you know, if the rural people can go for insurance, the insurance companies will have a lots of, there will be high diversification of also for the crops and health also. Lots of the small insurance, but this actually will reduce the risk of the entrepreneurs in the village area. And if we can reduce the risk, the entrepreneurs will come more, engage more businesses, and they will create opportunities for the local people. So actually it will be a win-win situation, but it will take some time. But in the meantime, Asante will have to do the mid work.
But when you say they have to do that, like, I mean, what is it costing them, like, to do? Isn't it?
Yes, actually we also want to tell you that we need some investments. But as we don't have the actual figures and the detailed analysis of the cost, we don't want to give you any arbitrary number, because any arbitrary number will not work here. So we will have to invest some money here, but for that we need to closely analyze different operational level cost, and then we can say that what amount of investment we require. But this would be a win-win situation for the insurance companies and for the community and for the increasing the business of the insurance companies.
But I think you have to be a little careful with the win-win thing, because you're not sure what it's going to cost them to do this. Because like you said, the way the thing is spread out all over, I mean, it's not like in a North American context, they're a little bit different. But to be insuring these people spread all over the different places there, and you're not really sure yet what it's going to be costing Asante to even, and if they're allowed to, I mean, how they're going to define that role that they're going to play, I'd be a little careful with that one.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, as we are modeling this one kind of body group, so that actually we will try to make the group finance, group insurance. So actually it will work better and reducing the cost.
So, I think the marketplace is interesting as an opportunity, but one challenge is the very high unemployment rate. So one thing that might be more interesting to me is this is an entrepreneurial program. Is there some way to take advantage of entrepreneurial spirit and the fact that there's high unemployment, so businesses could how can, you sort of see where I'm going with that? How could your solution possibly take advantage of that market?
Okay.
That's exactly why we were proposing when we showed the cycle. That's when we were trying to encourage this sort of collaboration. The more we encourage the businesses, the more job opportunities we'll be generating. So,
what we're hoping is that the marketplace will increase your sales and be a better company, bigger company, so you can hire more people. That is one part of it. It's a long-term plan. Of course it is. But change doesn't happen overnight. That's also something to consider. Other than that, we're also using this as a sort of a job portal at the same time, because that is a part of Riazo. So that can also help with unemployment within the LEI community as well as the outside community.
There are many initiatives up there. How do we operationalize all of this? How do we make it work with an existing system? Who's going to be basically managing all these different aspects? How does it affect the cost? The current and financial burden. Financial burden as well as management burden.
Yes, actually, yeah, we have to invest in financial sides and the software. And we need some technical aspects to reach the remotest place and remote person, that is the extra mile we need to run or work. So actually, we need some IT investment here. So actually, we don't have the actual real number now. So we don't want to give you any arbitrary number now that we need this much of investment. For that, actually, we need to go there and to analyze what would be the cost, and we are engaging the telecom companies there to share the platforms so that they can come forward with their support, network supports. So
yeah, but even beyond the technology side of it, someone has to look at the buddy community. Somebody has to work with consultants. Somebody has to manage potential partners like insurance companies. I mean, and these are all things that require time and energy. So how does it fit within the existing kind of management structure?
yes, we will have to invest on people and increase the capacity of IT capacity for the Ashante. So this has to be done to reach the remotest places.
There's also a pool of resources within the graduates themselves, which is something that we'll have to look at as well. Some of them will fit the structure. For example, if you go to the Asante website right now, you'll see that they are looking for SEO specialists, web developers, and other IT-related professionals. So some of them can effectively work here. It depends on what is the workload. This is something we're not familiar with right now. We're not familiar with the structure either. About the finances, the website, the marketplace, I can tell you it won't cost you more than $2,000 because I've worked in the IT sector for 3 years. Other than that, the insurance and the phone, this is something that we will need more data, which is why we increase the timeline from 2019 to 2022, so we can have a year there to analyze the data, get the numbers, and then pitch it in. Because if we just give you, like as he said, if we start throwing out arbitrary numbers, we're just giving you assumptions, and that's not something we want to do.
Of your 8 initiatives, if you had to judge on which one would have a sustainable impact and a short-term major impact, is there one or two that come out of this list that?
Yes, for short term, actually, the most impact will create from subsidized phone and data cost. And as the people are in remote places are without the networks, actually they can connect each other, they can connect the market. So this will create the short-term strength for the Ashante. And as we are focusing on creating a more robust market, increased market for the products of the farmers, like poultry, like craftsmanship, this kind. If we can produce the market, there will be demand, and entrepreneurs, graduates will become more entrepreneurs. And if they can find that yes, we have the market, they will invest more. And they will engage other graduates and local peoples that will create job opportunities in the local area.
So really,
So this will be a long-term impact.
so the subsidization and then the marketplace and thank you. Very good.
Yes, please.
Hello, congratulations on the presentation. So I had a question concerning like the entrepreneurship, like the entrepreneurial part that you would like to put in place. So you were saying that having more entrepreneurs is like, I would say, a positive indicator. But my question is like, what explains the reason why there is such a low number of entrepreneurs, or how do we ensure that they are actually sustainable? And like how do you think like the alumni
Yes.
sorry, like what was
Alumni,
yes, will be able to ensure that it's actually like something sustainable, because like you know that that is like pretty common. Like for example, I will give an example in Uganda. Like it's one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world. However, the percentage of business that fail is extremely high. So how do we ensure that like you have a lot of entrepreneurs, but it's like something I would say sustainable in a way?
Okay, yeah. So first question is, how does entrepreneurship increase jobs?
Yeah, so like you were saying that having more entrepreneurs is a positive indicator, because like they create jobs, they create income.
Yes.
But the reality of entrepreneurship, it's like, it's not as easy as supposed to be. Like being an entrepreneur is like just the beginning of the struggle, as we say. So how do we ensure that those entrepreneurs are actually creating those positive outcomes, such as jobs and incomes?
Okay, so we all know that 9 out of 10 startups, they close in 5 years. That is the truth. Yes, startups do fail a lot. That is the truth. Now, how can we support our entrepreneurs so they do better? This is where LEI comes in. It seems like a lot of these startups have problems with financial modeling. That is something that LEI can help them with. Connecting them with other investors, something that LEI can help them with. Pooling resources. Sometimes you have a truck, someone else has chicken. Maybe you can combine them both, take the chicken to the city. Pooling resources together, using them in the right places, Asante can do that for them as well. Other than that, there's also the marketplace. Basically, what Asante will do is try to maximize the potential of these startups. Of course, you can never predict which startup will make it, which won't. But what you can do is maximize the resources that are at their feet. And that is what we want to do with Asante. Other than that, yes, Uganda's example you picked up, that they have a lot of startups, but at the same time, it's not improving the job market. But there are countless other places where it is. For example, Afghanistan is a war zone, but they're ranked 60th in terms of startups. I think they raise 20 to 30 startups every year, and they create a lot of jobs there. I know from a personal example, sure, like I'm from Bangladesh. Now in Bangladesh, the startup market is pretty bad, and there's very few jobs there. But then again, you go to Switzerland, where a lot of these are startups. You go to San Francisco. Startups generally will provide you jobs, especially these, which are very local. Even if they don't provide jobs, they can help the LEI current students get work experience working with these entrepreneurs. There again, you're getting free resources to help your business grow further. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, because you were saying, mentioning like LEI can try to provide resources,
yes.
But what are those actual resources besides like the platform? What are those tangible resources?
Training, consultations, partnerships with investors, partnership with other schools, basically improving the overall development of the entrepreneurs themselves and the people around them, as well as using their current resources, which are at their schools, at their trainings, using them to help the businesses as well.
Okay, because we have a lot of judges and Tanya, so we give 15 minutes of Q&A, and your time is... I know it's a long day. You want to take a break? Yeah, okay.
You must be tired, eh? That's fine. Thank you.
Like